Hey, welcome back to Compliance Clips and our interview with Vic Gupta. Join John Farquhar and I as we dig into the details of what's coming to commercial trucking insurance in the form of user-based insurance and telematics data being used by insurance underwriters to determine what your risk profile and hence your premiums are going to look like in the future. Vic says 10 to 15 years till this becomes standard. John and I think maybe 4. So you really want to start considering what your insurance is going to look like and what your telematics is going to do to be determining that pricing. Join us now as we pick up where we left off with Vic from part 1.
Because safety is an investment.
Yes.
It is not an expense.
Right.
And that particular term means a lot to insurers and the underwriters, that how much are you invested into this? The other is you as a company, when you are analyzing all the costs attached to running your department, running your business, is what is your total cost of risk? Add that dollars from your investment to technology towards your total cost of risk. The total cost of risk is not a very hard formula. It is all about how you're running your operation and what is your how you really see it. Total cost of risk for one company could be different from the other because of how you run your operations. I think we should also touch base a little bit about the insure tech world and the user-based insurance. I know I'm throwing a lot of words which are new to the country, new to our listeners, but it is coming. They have been expanding the wings on our personal insurance side in Canada.
Yes,
and
we've had user base for a number of years now, haven't we?
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. But not so much on the commercial insurance, commercial auto insurance side. But now, as I said, US and other parts of the world have already embraced those technologies, and they're only possible because of telematics. So what we're finding is, I'll share that quickly with you, and that is the insurtech world is revolutionized. It's moving very fast, and the only way that commercial auto will be able to utilize that, either you have your own data labs. The data labs is who are the laboratories with your data scientists and your data analysts who are reviewing the data. And I'll make it very simple to companies or to our listeners. One is, you may have 100 trucks and you may have 3 or 2 different technologies working, or you could have 2. You're in the midst of moving from geotab to samsara, or vice versa, or peoplenet, trimble to motive, whatever. I'm not picking on any particular vendor, but what does that mean is, you are utilizing multiple systems at one time. How would you normalize the data? How would you harness the data? And who is harnessing the data on your behalf? So there are data aggregator, which some of them you see on the screen, where they are harnessing the data. They are normalizing the data from multiple vendors, because let's be honest, if you see at the insurer level, they cannot have all their clients be on the same data or telematic platform. So that the data need to be normalized, because it's like Bell versus Rogers versus Telus. The technology is different, and the data sets which are collected are different. So these aggregators collect the data, they normalize it, and they produce 5 to 7 major elements which could be used by the insurer at the actuarial level, which is actuarial meaning at the time of premium calculation, or at the loss control level, or directly at the level of underwriters. So this is what we are finding at the back end is the data is doing, and the use of data could be simplified by the use of data aggregator.
Right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Just one sec there, John. I think the concept of aggregators, again, and we had this conversation back when Chris Carver was on the phone. You insurance guys, you're like really comfortable with this aggregator thing and you're doing it. And us transportation trucker guys going, huh? Like what we're doing with an aggravator, we're creating a bell curve. And the bell curve isn't just within the company. And I think this is the important thing when we're talking to the audience here. That bell curve positions you with respect to hundreds or thousands of other operators and truckers. And this is a really powerful tool to see where you fit in. And, you know, you can speak with your problematic drivers, you can promote your best drivers. And now it's not just in your 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 drivers, it's thousands. So when you take that information and you say to your insurance company, okay, I'm in the 45th percentile. What are the guys in the 65th or 75th percentile doing that I'm not, so that I can join them, and then I can come to you and say, now, about that reduced premium we were talking about, what do you think? So, you know, to your point, Vic, that's what we're hearing, and that's what you're seeing come down the line?
Absolutely. You said you raised a very good point, which is the percentile. Where am I? And it is all about benchmarking. It's all about that, how you see yourself or your insurer is seeing yourself in your peer group. And the peer group is decided at the back, and the actuarial sciences, the data scientists are reviewing your data. The telematic is just supplementing your already submitted information. You're already submitting the IFTA, you're already submitting the driver abstracts, your CVOR or your NSC, wherever you are in the country. So it is supplementing.
Well, I was going to say a perfect example of that is you get trucking company A, trucking company B, they know each other, they're buddies, you know, they hang out, their wives get together and whatnot. You know, they both have 20 some odd power units each. They both run to California. They both do this. Yet company A is paying 25% more insurance premiums than company B. And he's going, why? How is that possible? I have the same company that my buddy does. But when you bring in telematics and go, yeah, your buddy is in the 95th percentile, you're in the 40th percentile. You're not performing as good as your buddy is. That's why your premiums are higher. When that can come into play, then those guys will start to realize, oh, I'm not as good as my buddy. I might do the same thing, but I'm not as good as my buddy is. How do I get better so I can have the premiums of what my buddy has? And there's, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot that's happening in the US right now. You alluded to something coming to Canada or in Canada now.
Yes, so that is exactly correct. So there's one major insurer in the country who is doing a pilot project, and they already have a couple of companies who are testing it, and they are giving some initial setup discounts, I would say, or some kind of an incentive to wow them to join the program.
Right.
And this is the start of this in Canada. There's another example which is actually regulated is in Alberta. And I will share that with our audience. I'll share that. This is in Alberta, where
interesting province to be the first to regulate something.
Yeah,
just
really.
An observation. No politics here, just, you know, observation.
No, none whatsoever.
So this is a use case which I'm sharing from Alberta. I'm sure many of you have heard of Facility Association. So Facility, for somebody who doesn't know, because you have to have a chance to purchase insurance at whatever cost, and that is what Facility. So Facility was being bombarded with a lot of companies, a lot of drivers who had bad losses, but they still wanted insurance because it is your right to have insurance. So Facility Insurance, Facility Market is that place where you have the right to purchase insurance regardless of the cost. You will have an option to purchase. But when the facility got flooded in Alberta, they come up with this technology vendor, or they partner with them, called Foresight Analytics. And Foresight Analytics does what I just said in the last 20, 30 minutes. They are checking your behavior, they are checking your speeding, they're checking your distraction, they're checking the time of your driving and what the weather patterns you're driving, and all the above. And the intent of facility is improve those drivers, improve those trucking companies, and move them back to a regular market
Yes.
because it is a pain for them to keep you in the facility. Plus, it is a pain for your broker, as well as it costs more to you as a transport company. So, this whole thing, what I said is, other than one major insurer in Ontario and a couple of other provinces, Alberta, sorry, I would say your facility insurance is also come up with this idea in Alberta. So this is no more a hypothetical thing.
So facility insurance is that place where nobody really wants to be. It doesn't have a great name. It's expensive as hell, like you'd mentioned. So the thing is, why wouldn't you jump on board with this, get some help better manage your risk, utilize telematics, and then, as you'd mentioned, you get to move into the open market, you get a better, and they're going to see your results and go, wow, I'm impressed. I want to, but at the same time, stay with that telematics program. Not necessarily with that same aggregator, but at least stay with the telematics program, manage it, monitor it, move forward, and continue to be a best in class motor carrier for the insurance provider you've partnered with.
Absolutely, and this is in your best interest rather than you think that this is being pushed by the insurer or by the province or by the regulators to you. There will be a time I can clearly see in 10 to 15 years from now, we're going to have a very different discussion about telematics. And why I
don't
say
think it'll be
that,
that long. I don't think it'll be that long.
maybe even
You know,
earlier. Look at 10 years before. 2017, when US really come up with 2015 to 2017, when they come up with that ELG, it's not even 10 years that happened. So you're
yeah, and
absolutely right, Rick. 10
that's
years
my
now
point. Yeah.
is gonna look very, very different. And
Right.
Well,
this concept, I was just gonna mention this, John, adding, I forgot to mention earlier, foresight is not just, oh, sorry, facility insurance is not just using foresight in Alberta. They are also doing a testing phase or testing in other provinces. One
excellent.
is Ontario and Nova Scotia,
Perfect.
what I heard.
Yep.
So it is more of a national thing now. Sorry.
Right. Good.
No, I mean, so what I was looking at when I'm saying I think this is going to be moving at a relatively rapid pace is we need to look at, the underlying reason this is going to move quickly. Number one, facility is, and in the case of Alberta, you're looking at where payments are coming out of the general coffers as well, right? So when we go beyond the monies that are in the resources from the participants, you're reaching out to the insurance company that's got a belly up. So if you have a facility member that has a nuclear verdict in the US, the money's got to come from someone. So as we know, provinces are really flush with money and they love throwing it away. So, if you start to see results where frequency, severity, and costs are being driven down in one province as a result of initiative, how long do you think it's going to take for them to reach out to the current service provider and say, hey, you're doing that here. You have 12 months, bring it here. Honestly, I think 10 to 15 years is way too long a timeline. So I think that what you're saying, Vic, is 100% accurate with respect to the uptake on this, other than I think your timeline is a little abbreviated. And I think, again, one other reason this is going to move so quickly is, again, if you're driving down claim frequency and claim costs, those participants have a very significant financial advantage over non-participants. So non-participants are going to find themselves being outcompeted. Their cost, so their fixed costs and their variable costs are going to be higher than those carriers that are playing with this particular model, and they're just not going to be competitive. I mean, that's it, right?
We're seeing a lot of insurance companies here in Canada. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. There's not a lot that do transportation, unfortunately, but some of the ones that we have available here in Canada have companies they own that are in the US. they're already dabbling and putting their toe in the water of the telematics premium programs, right? It's only a matter of time before that gets up here. I know as a matter of fact, two insurance companies that I work with are already doing it in the US, and they're just trying to fine tune it, and they want to bring it to Canada. Whether they'll be the first to do it or not, I don't know. There's a lot moving, but I don't think anybody's worried about being the first. They want to be the best. And that's the big challenge. And companies like yourselves, Vic, at PRL, there are brokers who are starting to step up to this game as well and work with their clients and go, let's get on board with this now before your insurance company demands it.
So if we can, just because we're coming near the end of our time here, Vic, I'd love you to kind of summarize what you're seeing from inside the insurance side. And you were kind enough to be one of our viewers. You've seen some of our shows. Some of them are a little technical, some are informational. What if you were to walk into a potential client today? So you've been invited to go into a trucking company, and the trucking company is not really taking advantage of their telematics data to the extent that we're seeing here. What recommendations would you be making, and what would the benefits be for the carrier that they would want to invest in that part of their safety program?
My suggestion would be that this is your return on investment. You have invested tons of dollars into this by push or by choice, the push being the regulatory body, which is US or Canada. It doesn't matter, you stay within the country or you go 5%, 20% to the US. So my recommendation would be look at your investment dollars. You can capitalize on those investment dollars. Work with your insurance service provider, your broker, and your telematic company to ask the right questions. That what can I do? And if you have a great safety maintenance program and the risk management team, they should be able to utilize that. And my recommendation would be to utilize that data, look at the trends. What are the items that you can utilize among that technology invested? And on the insurance side, how you can supplement this submission is with, or you supplement your information to the loss control people as well as to the underwriter, is submit and provide some of the charts, some of your trending images that get generated beautifully through those dashboards, right? And if you can show that, that plays to your favor, because now you're showing that we are improving in certain direction. And even if you're not improving, at least you are being proactive in mentioning that the pain points, that what you can do to improve. So what we find is that broker that you have, your service provider that you have, they also play a very important role in mentioning and utilizing, harnessing the data. We at PRL, we have a technology survey which goes out, and we utilize a survey for every single client. That really help. And it has been very, very helpful in making a strong business case. So my answer, Rick, would be, in very quick summary again, would be that utilize that technology. It's in your hands. It's not hard to use. You just need the right people to mention it to you, what need to be done and what are the parameters that you can show. And it is supplementing your CVOR, your NSC, your carrier profile, your IFTA.
Awesome.
Sounds good. So, geez, I think that might just be.
Can't say it any better. Can't say it any better.
It's been a great series, the telematics exploration. We've covered an awful lot of ground, starting with Lars way back when and the cell phone forensics, and finishing off now just kind of Vic bringing the whole picture together as to what it looks like from a trucking company and an insurance provider. Vic, thank you so much.
Thank you, Vic.
John, we're going to have to think what we do next.
Pleasure to be here.
Hard to top this.
We got a good one coming up.
There you go.
But we're not going to play yet.
Good deal. Don't give it away. Thanks again, Vic. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Vic.
My pleasure. Hope this was great.
Compliance Clips is a joint production of Summit Risk Solutions and Links Consulting. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next release. Take care.